Good morning. It's Tamika Chambers with Create a Generational Love Cycle. And if you've been listening to my podcast, it's not, even though my podcast is about breaking the cycle of pain, I focus on what it is that I want to happen, that I want peace, as Mother Teresa put, instead of war. We're gonna go for peace. And so peace in my mind is that we are creating a generational love cycle. Because if we base our actions, our thoughts, our words on love, which we all have that inside of us. We are all made out of love. Our core is love. That if we do that, then we automatically break that generational cycle of pain. If we respect people for who they are, if we for what they are, this divine spirit, if we use the words to edify others, if we treat others how we want to be treated, and that's key because we inevitably want to be treated with love. And often you'll see that people will treat people based on how they feel about themselves. So we have to nourish, we have to embody the essence of love. We have to just embrace it, to nourish it and express it. And we express it to each and every one, not just the people that are nice to us, but the people um, that are still projecting their pain on us, that are don't realize unconsciously, don't realize what it is that they're really doing to themselves. Because remember, whatever they do to you, they first did it to themselves. A strong mental and spiritual foundation is needed to weather life storms. There's no doubt about that. And I've shared on this podcast how my mother, my experience with the cycle of pain really stirred up some things inside of me. And one of them being that life is not supposed to be this way. And number two, there's something out there that loves me. And this is when I was a child, 5 or 6, and just really understanding and seeing this cycle of pain being portrayed out in its voice, its howling voice, its need for feeling valued, its need for attention, its need for release, seeing in so many different ways with through angry words, through actions to adults and children. And it was my grandmother who said, if you just observe, pay attention, you pay attention, you and sit back and watch, you'll learn a whole lot. And I was just talking to her about that one principle, how that really impacted my life. And it coupled with my mother's life principles, including if you just listen, you'll learn more if you listen. And I spent a lot of time over COVID listening to not just others and reading stuff and reading what was going on with COVID and how people were, especially if you had a childhood adverse event, is what they call, whether it's abuse and sexually, physically, etc. How being, through COVID and being alone and being with other people, people were experiencing re-traumatization, victimization. And, it just kind of came together where I was like, I don't want to just coach people and them say, okay, good job. Yes, I love that information. That's so great and powerful. And then they go on and do the other behavior, that they were doing. They return back to their behavior. I wanted to really make an impact, and I felt like God had given me these words, these written um, manuscripts, these manuscripts that I needed to bring forth to help people ultimately remember who they are. This is what I eventually came with. I want to help people to remember their divine, powerful spirit that they are, that no experiences define them, that they are here to reflect the truth. And I do that by this experience, over 20 years of experience, of nursing experience, of coaching, of and as an educator, I do as an integrative nutrition, student, a health coach, that I want people to achieve optimal health, overall optimal health. And that's what integrative nutrition does, is that it integrates every aspect of our being and aims for um, the best health possible that you can be in. Because I believe that our body is the vehicle for our message. I want people to heal from the inside out. And that's really clearing out the myths, clearing out the traditions that no longer benefit them, clearing out others' opinions, these weeds of anger and emotions and guilt and self sabotage and blame and shame, anxiety, because we as what I do know is that whatever does not belong to us eventually rises to the top, rises to our mind, and then we wonder about mental health conditions. They rise up. The anger doesn't belong to you. A lot of that is stuff that we picked up along the way, through socialization, as our, even um, before we were born, the genetic blueprint that we are exposed to, and the talking, the whatever is going on inside while we are growing inside that brain and nervous system, how it hears messages, and then that is planted in our seed, our soul. It doesn't have to be when we're a child or infant. It actually occurs way beyond that in our genetic blueprint. This anger, this the the low self-esteem, the feeling belittled, and feeling like our life doesn't have meaning and purpose, and then we wonder why a child is depressed. And it's not to blame, because the cycle didn't start with your parent. It started way long ago. No one is to blame. It is we have where we had moments of unconsciousness, where we forgot who we were. Because if we really knew who we were, we wouldn't do some of the things that we have done to ourselves and to others. So my soul was fertile. That from I've shared from my mother's uh, my mother's words of wisdom, but even before that, how I decided not to include mistakes in my vocabulary. My mother told us, she would often say that you don't have to have that in your vocabulary, and when I think about that, you don't have to have that in your inner garden. You don't have to have those negative or harmful thoughts in your mind. You are in control. And she would often tell us that you are in control of yourself. And I think that's one of the most powerful things that you can tell a child, is that you are in control of yourself, along with the other, things too as well, things that will bring out the best of them. But I said, I didn't like the word mistakes. I thought it was so negative, and so I changed it to life lessons. And I didn't want to live in regret. I wanted to learn from life, and more importantly, learn from others. May have got me a little bit stifled at times, but really to learn about life and how life builds character. And not only does it reinforce who we are, which I later found out, but it's also, life is an opportunity for us to express ourselves. And often I put out something today that often, it's so common for us to leave our home, right? To not trust ourselves, to lack, self-confidence and conviction into what we have been told by our creator. This is what you're here for. This is how you're going to make your mark on the world. And we let our circumstances turn us around. We let people's words and thoughts, their projected pain, their insecurities, turn us around, and we take that in and we start doubting ourselves. We start, not trusting ourselves, and it shows in our work. It shows in preparing for tests as NCLEX candidates. I'm tutoring NCLEX candidates, and it shows in their work. How things happen, and whether it's somebody else's success or somebody else's um, um, challenge to retake opportunity to retake the exam over, that we tend to embody those negative thoughts and energy, um, much of which we create on ourselves. Just because something, my mother would tell us that just because something happened to someone else doesn't mean it's going to happen to you. And I also take that if one person did it, you can too. So let's let go of the guilt. Let's go let go of the blame. Let's let go of the shame, and let's keep moving with our lives. And I love when I share things like this, because sometimes I don't know what I'm going to talk about, and then something will hit me, or it'll hit me as soon as I push record. But it's a message that I know that I need to as well, because I often said, what I say to you, I want to say to myself. And that was about integrity, and building character. But to get to one of the main things that I wanted to talk about today is, I, as a child, fertile soil, coming from painful experiences. My father, my mother, their divorce, the abuse, domestic violence, and my own experience with pain, and realizing that I needed to become my best friend. That we often say, there's often, this comeback that, why are you treating yourself that way? How would you treat your best friend? And I believe that when we become our best friends, when we see the worth that we have, when we respect ourselves, when we voice our opinions, when we seek an environment or environments that support us in our journey of becoming the best person that we can be, in aligning our personality with our divine spirit, and living, as Oprah says, with our best lives, right? Her mission with her magazine, that I believe it is so critical, so essential to breaking the cycle of pain, is by becoming our best friends, because it really will help empower us and edify the words that we speak to ourselves, because it puts us accountable for our behavior. That if I'm my best friend, how am I going to treat myself? If I am my best friend, am I going to rush and do things, or am I going to take my time as much as possible? Am I going to seek balance in my activities and my rest? Am I going to scare myself with my words and talk to myself negatively? Or am I going to support myself and say, good job, praise myself first? Because what we do as caregivers and parents is what we often express as spiritual guardians to our children, to the child that needs us the most. Because I was there at one point. I felt like adults are here to help you navigate life, to help show you the ropes, to help give you that influence, that positive influence, to put you on the right path. And I realized at a very young age that it's hard for people to do that when they're so involved in their pain, when they have not healed from the inside out, when they have forgotten who they are, when they are not, in their essence, achieving optimal health and wellness, when they are distracted and not fulfilling their divine purpose. That through it all, I believe I became what I didn't have, because I wanted to know it, and I know it intimately, this cycle of pain. And I feel like we have the opportunity, we have everything we need inside of us to break it. We have everything we need to love ourselves so that we can express love to others. And it's through this intimate relationship, not only with our creator, but with ourselves, and in a complete amazement of our bodies and how they function, and our minds, and the resiliency and the powerful. When we're told, it's not about just, Christianity or the Bible, or, it's about what resonates with you, what really hits you to the core. When you hear it, you know that it's true, whether you try to deny it or not. And I believe that we are, as the Course in Miracles says, powerful beyond measure. that our power scares us. We get, um, we hide ourselves through others' opinions. We hide ourselves to wanting to belong, feeling like we don't belong, first of all, and then wanting to be a part of a group, wanting to feel like we belong because, being lonely, we're told is not the avenue you want to take. Often, people will share their opinions. You're lonely. Okay. You're antisocial. You're this, you're that, all of that, all of those negative terminologies. But for me, it was about, because I was my best friend, it was about self-preservation. It was about not getting involved with things that I knew would not be helpful for me, whether it was drugs, alcohol, frequent sex, whatever it may have been. It was discernment. It was really valuing this body of mine, that although it may have been misused by some, that I was going to try my best to use it the right way. Was it perfectly laid out? No, it wasn't. But it was a process of, even now in my 40s, about to have another birthday. It was a process that I had to learn to go through life, to experience this cycle of pain, which gave me the tools to help break it. Because I believe that we should have a fulfilled life, an abundant life. I believe that our children should have a fulfilled life, an abundant life. That before, I was having the conversation with my children, that before you seek friendships, because we're always promoting, friendship, get friends, go play, go do something. Make sure our children are friends with themselves first, so that they can see what is not true friendship. And we do that at home by how we talk to ourselves as guardians, as caregivers, as parents, how we talk to ourselves, how we treat ourselves with the food we eat, with the food, the nourishment that we take in, our mind, body, and spirit. Our children see that. I saw it. Children need to know what true friendship is. And I know we'll say, well, I'm not here to be my children's friend, but you're here to show them the way, to be their guides, to show them what true friendship is, to show them what love is. Because we get more people doing that, we will start to see a decrease, I believe, in violence towards ourselves, suicide, and homicides. We will start to see a decrease in improper weights. We will start to see a decrease in words that belittle and demean others. Because out of the heart flows the issues of life. We all have an opportunity, a choice to choose how we're going to respond to life experiences. And when we see experiences for what they are, we truly see an opportunity to express our divineness, we will change, we will break this generational cycle of pain. It's no longer about tradition and what's been done. It's about what needs to be done now, giving everything that we have going on. And it starts with us individually. The most powerful thing that we can do is we can look in the mirror and say, who am I? What do I want to see more in this world? And how can I go about doing that? And it's a daily path that we walk, that we want to walk the path of greatest resistance on what we're seeing today. And the great resistance will bring out the great person that you are. This is Tamika Chambers with Create a Generational Love Cycle. I have started sharing my mother's life principles through my newsletter, Notes on Life. And I just really believe they were I use them as the foundation of who I am. And as I observe life and I see the necessity of having a strong foundation in childhood. Because as the Bible says, or as the Bible in the Bible is noted in Proverbs, train a child as he or she will go. Train them as they will go. For when they're old, they won't depart from it. Right? We have that foundation that we can constantly continue to rebuild and strengthen through life storms. And I am so appreciative of my mother and myself of seeing those foundational truths that she shared that helped me weather many life storms and continue to do so. And the ones that I've shared, I even heard my husband say this morning, nip things in the bud. If we nip behavior in the bud, then we don't have to go chasing behavior. We become more proactive instead of reactive. Are you your best friend? Before you're seeking another friend or another group to belong to, are you your best friend? What standards have you set for yourself? Are you allowing people to see those standards and to rise to them? Are you lowering your standard because of this desire to belong, to have friends? Are your children doing the same? Because then if they are, they're continuing the cycle of pain. If they aren't, they're being their true friendship and they're expressing it and they're in their actions. They don't have to demand and be upset, but in their actions are demanding better from others. I'll talk to you guys soon. Sign up for my newsletters. I'll have the link in this, the information. And as always, I tell you, make this lifetime great. You can, we need a little bit more noise and fulfill your divine purpose. Facebook. And hopefully I will continue to be the noise and I appreciate your noise too as well. Your information and sharing about your purpose and what you're needing to strengthen in yourselves as you fulfill your divine purpose. All right, you guys, make this lifetime great because you still can.